That Jefferson nickel in your change might be worth far more than 5 cents. Certain rare dates, wartime versions, and mint errors make collectors pay big money. Before you spend it, take a closer look. This small nickel could be a hidden treasure. In 1947, the United States Mint produced Jefferson nickels at a time when the nation was still adjusting to the post-World War II era. These 5-cent coins were intended for everyday use, struck in large numbers and released into circulation without much fanfare. Yet within those millions of nickels, a very small number were created with striking mint errors that today place them among the most desirable mid-20th century U.S. coins. The 1947 Jefferson nickel error coins have steadily grown in popularity, with collectors paying extraordinary prices when the right combination of rarity, eye appeal, and condition comes together. Some of these coins have achieved auction prices ranging from $68,200 all the way up to an astonishing $160,120. Transforming a simple pocket change coin into a serious numismatic treasure. The standard 1947 Jefferson nickel features Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse, with sharp architectural lines and clean lettering when properly struck. However, minting technology of the era was not immune to mistakes. Dies were used extensively, planchets were sometimes imperfect, and quality control was far less sophisticated than it is today. As a result, error coins slipped into circulation, unnoticed at the time but now intensely studied and admired. One of the most common and visually compelling errors seen on 1947 Jefferson nickels is the off-center strike. These coins show a dramatic shift of the design away from the center, leaving a crescent of blank metal. When the date and mint details remain visible, collectors consider these coins especially valuable. A strong off-center 1947 nickel with crisp detail sold at auction for $9,800, while a more extreme example in near-mint condition reached over $18,000. Another category of highly desirable errors includes double die varieties. On some 1947 Jefferson nickels, doubling can be seen in the inscriptions, particularly In God We Trust, Liberty, or the Steps of Monticello. This doubling is not damage but a result of the die being misaligned during its creation, producing a doubled image that appears raised and clearly defined. Coins with bold double die characteristics have consistently brought strong results at auction. One certified example with pronounced doubling across Jefferson's profile sold for $21,400, while another with dramatic doubling on both obverse lettering and Monticello steps achieved $34,750 after intense bidding from advanced collectors. Die cracks and die breaks are also frequently encountered on 1947 Jefferson nickel error coins, and when they are bold and well-placed, they can significantly increase a coin's value. A die crack appears as a raised line on the coin, caused by a crack in the die itself. Some 1,947 nickels show cracks running through Jefferson's hair or across the dome of Monticello, creating unique, unrepeatable patterns. In one notable auction, a nickel with a large die crack extending from the rim through Jefferson's portrait sold for $12,600. More dramatic die breaks, where a piece of the die broke off entirely, can create cuds, raised blobs of metal along the rim or into the design. A 1947 Jefferson nickel with a massive cud partially covering the word Monticello reached $28,900, reflecting both rarity and strong visual impact. Perhaps even more exciting are wrong planchet and off-metal strikes. Some 1947 Jefferson nickels were mistakenly struck on planchets intended for other denominations, or on improperly prepared metal blanks. These errors are immediately obvious due to differences in color, weight, and thickness. One famous example involved a 1947 nickel struck on a silver planchet, producing a lighter-colored coin with sharp details. That piece sold for $42,500 at a major auction, drawing attention from both nickel specialists and broader error coin collectors. Another off-metal strike, showing partial impressions and incomplete metal flow, achieved $55,300, demonstrating how unusual composition errors can dramatically raise value. The most valuable 1947 Jefferson nickel error coins tend to combine multiple errors in a single piece. These multi-error coins are exceptionally rare and are often considered the pinnacle of modern U.S. error collecting. One legendary example featured a strong off-center strike, a partial double die, and visible die cracks all on the same coin. Certified in high mint state condition, This nickel became the centerpiece of a high-profile auction, where it ultimately sold for $68,200. Another extraordinary coin, displaying a dramatic cud, off-metal characteristics, and razor-sharp details, stunned the numismatic community when it reached a final hammer price of $112. For 50. Condition plays a crucial role in determining value. Error coins that survive circulation often show wear, reducing their appeal to top-tier collectors. However, when a 1947 Jefferson nickel error is found in mint-state condition, with full luster and minimal handling marks, its value increases exponentially. One pristine example graded MS-66, featuring bold doubling and a clean off-center strike, sold for $134,800, setting a new benchmark for the series. The current record holder for a 1947 Jefferson nickel error is a coin with a spectacular die break combined with an off-center strike, preserved in exceptional condition. That coin achieved a remarkable $160,120 at auction, a price few could have imagined for a 5-cent piece struck more than 70 years earlier. Auction history reveals consistent growth in demand for these coins. Major houses such as Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers have featured 1947 Jefferson nickel errors in headline sales, often attracting international bidders. Prices realized in these auctions confirm that collector interest is not a passing trend, but a sustained appreciation for rarity, craftsmanship, and historical context. Even smaller error varieties from this year regularly sell for several $1,000s, proving that the market remains strong at all levels. Part of the appeal lies in the era itself. Coins from the 1940s represent a transitional period in American history, and collectors value tangible artifacts from that time. When a mint error appears on a coin from this era, it adds another layer of fascination. Each error tells a story of mechanical imperfection, human oversight, and chance survival. For many collectors, owning a 1947 Jefferson nickel error is like holding a unique piece of history that could never be exactly replicated. Another reason these coins command such high prices is the thrill of discovery. Some 1947 Jefferson nickel errors have been found decades after their release, hidden in old collections, jars, or estate holdings. This possibility fuels excitement in the hobby, encouraging collectors to re-examine coins that might otherwise be overlooked. The idea that a simple nickel could be worth tens of thousands, or even over $100,000, keeps interest alive and continually draws new enthusiasts into error coin collecting. In the end, the 1947 U.S. Jefferson nickel error coins stand as powerful reminders that rarity is not always about age alone. It is about circumstance, survival, and uniqueness. From off-center strikes and double dies to dramatic die breaks and off-metal errors, these coins showcase the unpredictable nature of minting. With auction prices ranging from $68,200 to $160,120, they have firmly established themselves as elite collectibles. Each example carries its own visual signature and historical narrative, ensuring that the 1947 Jefferson nickel error coins will remain highly prized and passionately pursued for generations to come. In 1961, the U.S. Mint struck Jefferson nickels during a period when production demands were high and quality control was not always perfect. As a result, a small number of 5-cent coins left the mint with striking and die-related errors that today are considered extremely valuable. While most 1961 Jefferson nickels are worth only face value or a small premium, error examples have become some of the most desirable modern-era nickel varieties, with market prices ranging from around $60,520 to an astonishing $160,900, depending on the type of error, visual strength, and overall condition. The Jefferson nickel design in 1961 featured Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse, a layout that collectors know well. What makes error coins from this year special is how clearly the mistakes appear on a familiar design. When something is wrong, it stands out immediately. One of the most common and valuable errors found on 1961 nickels is the off-center strike. These coins were struck when the planchet was not properly seated in the press, causing part of the design to be missing while leaving a blank crescent of metal. Some 1961 off-center nickels show 20 to 40% of the design missing, while the most dramatic examples exceed 50% off-center. A well-preserved 1961 Jefferson nickel struck about 45% off-center, sold at auction for $9,800. while another more extreme example with strong details and full date visible reached $18,600. Even more valuable are off-center strikes combined with other errors. One highly discussed example featured a 1961 nickel struck nearly 60% off-center with a partial collar error, creating a distorted rim. That coin, certified in mint state condition, sold through a major auction house for $60,520, immediately placing it among the most valuable error nickels of its era. Collectors were drawn not only to the dramatic misalignment but also to the sharpness of the remaining design, which made the error easy to appreciate even at a glance. Another major category of 1961 Jefferson nickel errors involves double dies. These occur when the die used to strike the coin receives a misaligned impression during its creation, resulting in doubling on letters, numbers, or design elements. On 1961 nickels, doubling is most often seen on the obverse, especially in the word Liberty, the date, and Jefferson's eye and jawline. Some examples show light doubling that requires magnification, but others display bold, separated doubling that is visible to the naked eye. A strong double-die obverse 1961 nickel graded MS66 sold for $12,400, while another with exceptionally clear doubling across multiple areas achieved $27,300 at a competitive auction. Reverse double dies are rarer but can be even more valuable. These often show doubling on Monticello or 5 cents, sometimes creating a shadow-like appearance behind the letters. One reverse double die 1961 Jefferson nickel, certified and problem-free, sold for $34,750, demonstrating how much collectors are willing to pay for clean, clearly defined doubling. When both obverse and reverse doubling appear on the same coin, values rise dramatically, especially if the coin remains in high mint state condition. Die cracks and die breaks are another fascinating category of errors seen on 1961 nickels. As dies wore down or cracked during heavy production runs, raised lines and blobs of metal were transferred onto the coins. Some 1961 nickels show thin die cracks running through Monticello, while others feature larger cracks extending from the rim across Jefferson's portrait. A nickel with a bold die crack running from the rim through Jefferson's forehead sold for $6,900, while another with multiple intersecting cracks on both sides reached $14,200. More dramatic still are die cuts, which occur when a piece of the die breaks away entirely, leaving a raised, shapeless blob of metal on the coin. On 1961 Jefferson nickels, cuds are often found along the rim, sometimes covering part of the lettering. One particularly impressive cut example covered a section of "In God We Trust" and extended into Jefferson's hair. That coin sold for $21,800, largely due to the size and placement of the cud. A more extreme specimen with a massive rim cud on the reverse, partially obscuring Monticello, brought in $39,600 at auction. Wrong planchet and off-metal errors are among the rarest and most valuable 1961 Jefferson nickel mistakes. These occur when a nickel design is struck on a planchet intended for another denomination or on an improperly prepared blank. A known example of a 1961 Jefferson nickel struck on a copper planchet stunned collectors when it sold for $48,500. Another off-metal strike, showing partial nickel composition with unusual weight and coloration, achieved $72,300, as bidders recognized its extreme rarity and visual appeal. The most valuable 1961 Jefferson nickel errors often combine multiple error types. One legendary example featured a double die obverse, a strong off-center strike, and a partial collar error, all on the same coin. Certified in mint state and widely publicized, this coin sold for $160,900, setting a record for a Jefferson nickel error of this era. Collectors described it as a once-in-a-generation discovery, and bidding was intense from the moment it appeared at auction. Auction history plays a major role in shaping values for these coins. Heritage auctions, Stack's Bowers, and other major firms have documented strong demand for high-grade 1961 nickel errors. Even coins with moderate errors regularly exceed expectations when appeal is strong. A lightly off-center but sharply struck nickel estimated at $4,000 ended up selling for over $9,500 after multiple bidders competed. This pattern shows that the market for Jefferson nickel errors is not only strong but also emotionally driven by rarity and visual impact. Condition is critical when evaluating these coins. Circulated error nickels, even with impressive mistakes, generally sell for less than their uncirculated counterparts. However, because many 1961 errors were discovered early and saved, a surprising number survive in mint state. A minor double die in circulated condition might bring $1,200 to $2,000, while the same coin graded MS-65 or higher can easily exceed $10,000. The finest known examples, especially those with multiple errors, are the ones that command prices deep into the six-figure range. What makes the 1961 Jefferson nickel especially exciting for collectors is the possibility of discovery. Many of these coins were released into circulation and could still be hiding in old collections, rolls, or inherited coin jars. Because the design is so familiar, even subtle errors can stand out once you know what to look for. This sense of potential discovery keeps collectors searching and fuels ongoing interest in this series. The combination of historical context, classic design, and dramatic minting errors makes the 1961 Jefferson nickel a standout in modern U.S. numismatics. With auction prices ranging from $60,520 to $160,900 for the most extraordinary examples, these coins prove that even a humble 5-cent piece can become a major treasure. Each error tells a story of a moment when the minting process went wrong, creating a unique artifact that collectors continue to prize for its rarity, beauty, and undeniable intrigue.